Okay, have a look at this and then give it a go. Okay, so when I look at a task like this, what I'll do is I will break it down with what I need to do and what I don't need to do. Pretty simple logic, right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put a shape over what I don't need. This is irrelevant information. This procedure fill tank is irrelevant when it comes to making a flowchart. Oops, I'm trying to be fancy and clever here, but it backfired. Did that make a duplicate? Yep, great. And I'm also going to do unprocedure. You'll notice I also covered up the declarations of the variables. So that's step one. Step two is I'm going to make a note of what's indented and what's not indented. So for example, this if statement, if I make this a bit bigger, counts as one giant if, so everything will be underneath this condition. And then I'm going to have another condition here, which is a loop. And another one here. So I'm dealing with how many diamonds am I dealing with? Well, I'm actually dealing with a diamond here, a diamond here, and a diamond here. But we do have an else, so I'm actually going to make a note of that because that else belongs to this if at the top. So I'm just going to put a horizontal rule there. So I'm not going to forget about that else. I'm going to put in my start shape. Nice and easy. I'm then going to do my first process, which would be this. Let's make it a bit thinner. Tries equals to 1. Connect 2. I'm then going to do this. Now when I look at this, I need to break it up into two different things. So we've got, it's a bit smaller, this section and this section. So the read center F1 and the full run equals. So as soon as we see this, we link it back to programming. What is it that we're dealing with? You got it, a function. How can we tell it's a function? Because there's a variable, which means we know that we're returning a value. So we'll put in a function. And what I'm going to do is just make this a bit bigger. And I'm going to do my variable full equals read center F1. There you go. So we've done that and that. Let's just cover that up so that I can say I'm done. Makes it easier. We're now dealing with our if, our decision. So let's bring out our decision here. Let's link the two together. So if not full, so is full true? So is full equal to true? That's what this is basically saying. If it isn't full, so we've got to have a yes. we're going to have a no. If it's not full, then we're going to focus on all this, so this and this. If it is full, we're going to basically go to our else statement. So let's do that now. We need an output. I'm going to put output, and let's have output already full. So we're now going to do, so let's make this a bit bigger. No, we don't want an arrow. We can move on to another decision. This other decision is going to be as a loop though. It says while not full, so we need to do it as is full equal false, and tries less than 4. Or you can put less than as in the word. Make the text a bit smaller. Let's make this go down a bit. We now have core top up. Hang on a minute. That's different to this syntax here. We know that core means calling a function or procedure normally in programming. So what does core top up mean? Well, in a flowchart, in pseudocode, there is a difference between calling a function and calling a procedure. This line here, core top up, is it a function or a procedure? How can you tell? Well, it's actually a procedure. It's a procedure because it's not returning a value. It's not returning a value because we haven't got this bit, the equal sign variable. So all we need to do is get our box. I'm just going to copy and paste this one. Put it down here. And this is going to basically run if it's not full and tries is less than 4. So I'm going to put here yes. And we're going to call it by typing in core top up. There you go. The next thing we have to do is, lo and behold, if we look at this, it's another function being called. Full. Read sentence F1. We then have tries equals tries plus 1, which is a process. Tries equals plus 1. Let's link these up. And that is the end of our loop. Now that's the end of our loop, we need to go back to here again. All of this is being looped. So m while. Once a loop has finished though, so we need to actually say once this loop is broken. So if we go back up again for a second, this is going to loop. Once this is finished, we then move on to this if tries is greater than 3. So we need another shape or another line for no. and we move on to our next decision. So is tries greater than 3? Is tries greater than 3? Or actually I'd like to write it greater than 3. Can I make this page bigger? Because I'm going to run out of room. Oh well. We're going to have a yes and a no. So let's do our yes. Let's have our no. Which leaves us with an output. So it's, and the output is if yes, too many attempts. Output, tank now full. Now, that basically leaves us with multiple ends. If we think about it, let's just delete this, and delete this. This is an end. So if it's not full, none of this runs. So we go straight to output already full. So we need an end here, a terminator. Terminator, there we go. I'm going to call it end or stop or whatever. That's 1. But also, if you output too many attempts, it goes on to nothing else. There's nothing else to do. Also, if your output tank now full, it goes on to nothing else. End and end, and there we go. That is the flow chart. If I zoom out, boom.